And time now for my After Five guest today, and that is Ken Lambert, the recent new owner of George Harrison's famous house in Liverpool. Ken, thanks for your company this afternoon.
Hi, Wynn. Thanks for inviting me here.
Yes, great. You bought George Harrison's former house in Speke in Liverpool last year. So had you viewed the property before you bought it?
I did not go there before I bought it. I had some pictures and some videos that were taken by the auction company, and that was it. I had actually never been to England before I closed on the house.
All right, okay. So you paid £117,000 for the house. So what condition did you find it in when you eventually got there?
It was in pretty good condition, relatively speaking. I mean, the house was built in 1949. A typical terrace house there. Full brick walls and all of that. It needed some up. It had been renovated a little bit. The kitchen was renovated back about 12 years ago, and then there were some other renovations in like the 1980s. Not everywhere, but in certain areas. So, it was in decent condition. It was fairly clean, but the outside, the gardens and the front garden were needed some attention.
Okay. Expected to buy the house. You never expected to be successful in the bid-in.
Yeah, I didn't really plan on winning. I didn't really think I was going to win. I wanted to place a bid on it to just kind of have a chance at it. Didn't really have a plan. Didn't think I was going to win. And then once I was the high bidder there, then I had to come up with a plan very quickly.
I know you put it back to when George's days when he was there in the early 60s. Yes, is that right?
Yep. I mean, it has several original features there, which are great, obviously. And then in the front room, I spent a lot of time on decorating and new wallpaper. The wallpaper that I have there in the front room matches almost exactly to the old pictures, the black and white photos that we have of George and his mom and his brother in that front room with his guitars and all of that. So we did a lot of work there, and with the furniture in that front room and the end tables and nesting tables and all of that. So the front room is really the best room there, really. And then we did a little bit up in George's bedroom. But when you walk into the house, you look to the side and you see the front room, and then you really go in there and you feel like it's 1960, 1959.
Yeah, that's where they rehearsed certain songs, didn't they, in that house?
Yeah, I mean, so George and John and Paul, they got together and goofed around and rehearsed quite a bit in that home, according to many sources and different interviews. And they were both George would play in both that front room and also up in his bedroom. That's what we found.
So you'd never been to England before, you said. So I suppose those times you first went were quite different to where you were living. Is it in Boston you live, yeah?
Yeah, I live in Boston area in New Hampshire, actually. But, it is a bit different over there. And, some things were funny. But at least everyone speaks English, right? So that was a good thing for me. But certainly the Scouser accent, it can be difficult for an American to understand fully, especially, some people are more hard accents than others over there. So that was funny. I think they could understand me pretty good, but I couldn't understand some of them sometimes. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they've got certain words for certain things that you've never heard before, I suppose, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I had my wife and my children. I brought them over in the summer, and we spent about 4 days there in the house, and they got to, hang around with some of the neighbors and the neighborhood kids, and all the different words, as you said. And then my kids were like looking at each other like they didn't know what was going on because again, some of the words are different. It was fun.
And of course, you went to Anfield as well. I read to the home of Liverpool Football Club, and of course that's owned by people from Boston as well, isn't it? So it's a bit of a homecoming for you, isn't it, to go there?
Yeah, I mean the flights from Boston over there is not that easy, but of course, as you know, people are Americans are traveling to Liverpool, every day. There's the big tourist attraction there, certainly in Liverpool in general. Obviously, the Beatles, and not just the Beatles, but Liverpool has a lot to offer, and so I think it's been well received so far, and the people that have been there have enjoyed it.
So you must have been, of course, a big fan of the Beatles to want to build Beatles property. Then it's always been something you've liked. It always the music and the all the work around them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm in the construction business, and I've done a lot of remodeling, and I've owned some other real estate before, some properties. So I'm not scared of a property. So that was, one big thing. Like, I knew that I could handle it, even though it's far away. And I do have a local property manager based out of Manchester that handles a lot of the day-to-day stuff. But as far as I didn't grow up wanting to have a Beatles property or home. It just sort of came up, and again, because George's house went up for auction, and a public auction, and I saw that, and I've always been a huge Beatles fan and a huge George Harrison fan, and all of George's solo stuff and the Traveling Wilburys, all of that. So it just seemed like maybe it was meant to be.
So why George then? Was it something different from Paul and John?
Yeah, I mean I don't dislike John.
No, of course not. No,
but I've always had George was always my favorite. I always thought that George was a bit underrated and sort of underappreciated. I think within the Beatles, and I think he proved a lot of that after the Beatles broke up. Obviously, his first couple of albums were big successes, and then he had a little down period there where he didn't really seem to care too much. And then he, came back in the late '80s with, a really good album of his own, and then the Traveling Wilbury stuff. So he still had it, and I just think he didn't care as much about being a big rock star as let's say Paul. And obviously, we know George didn't like to tour, so he didn't do that really.
So you visited a lot of Beatles sites, like places like Penny Lane, and so on. I suppose you've been to different the place where the
Yeah, I mean, I've been now 5 times to Liverpool since January. I just was there about 1.5 weeks ago. I just was there, and so it's very recent. But I've been to Penny Lane several times, and obviously the Cavern Club a few times, and Bath Street, and a lot of that. And I have not gone inside John or Paul's homes yet.
Oh, right.
Those are with the National Trust.
Yeah,
and you have to buy a ticket and all of that. I've seen the outsides. I've taken pictures of them. But next time I go, I will get on a tour and get inside those. I'd like to see inside of those.
They're probably similarly decorated and furnished like George Harrison's house, probably. It's very similar sort of style, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, I think the key thing with one of the fun thing that I'm trying to do here with Upton Green is that obviously people can stay there, which is really that's a great thing, but people can experience it a little differently than John and Paul's house is. I have a couple of acoustic guitars there. You can go and play the guitar. You can sit on the sofa in the front room and strum the guitar. Even if you don't play guitar, you can still pretend like you are, right? And take a photo, take a selfie. You can play. I have a stand-up record player turntable there, and you can play Beatles albums and Beatles singles, 45s there in the house. And so there's a bit more of an experience there that I'm trying to do that you can actually kind of feel it. And that's sort of the point.
So, like Paul and John's house, I opened it to daily visitors as well as just people staying there?
No, because it's mostly an Airbnb, so it's mostly people staying there overnight for 2 or 3 days or so. Because of that, obviously, we can't do both. I can't also have it be open, for the public. But we do about once a week or so, once every week or 2 weeks. It is on a tour, a guided tour with the Fab Four Taxi Tour Group.
Yeah.
They come around and they've added it to their childhood homes tours. And so I do give them access sort of exclusively to, they actually go inside and they spend about 20 minutes in there and they take pictures, and you can have tea if you want in George's old house. And it's kind of another ad there.
Right, okay. And yesterday you had a reading of the new Beatles play At the End by P.T. Rose, didn't you? That was special, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really great. I mean, I wasn't there, unfortunately.
No.
I've seen many pictures of it and talked to the people that were involved in putting it on. Obviously, I coordinated much of that. It seemed like everyone that was there really had a great time. We had the cast there, potential Liverpool cast, and then also 8 winners, 8 other people, just fans really, were able to go to George's house and get a tour of the house, and then sit there and watch a live reading of this play that all talks about an unfortunate thing, if you will, but the Beatles' last days and sort of them deciding on how they're going to split up, really.
Yeah, because that was a special day, wasn't it? Because you'd helped there from Keith Bodman and Karen Struhl-White as well, so that was absolutely fabulous. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad, and I can't wait for the play to come out. I don't know the month that it's going to be a live production, but I think the first production is starting in Liverpool, so they're talking to theaters and venues now, I believe.
Well, Ken, thanks for spending me the time today. It's been brilliant to talk to you. Thanks for being my After Five guest today, and good luck for the future.
Well, thank you, Wynn. Have a good day.
Thank you much indeed.